Weekend with the one and only Destroyer, Dick Beyer. And Dick, the 2005 inductee into the Hall of Fame. What keeps you coming back each year?
Well, this is a great affair, and right here in Amsterdam, which is probably, if you put a dot down for the center of New York, Amsterdam would be pretty close because it's a couple hundred miles from New York City, a couple hundred miles from Buffalo. So Amsterdam is a good place. It's a good Hall of Fame, and I get to see fellas that I haven't seen for 25, 30 years.
That's fantastic. Now, I understand you were a standout amateur wrestler at Syracuse University. I'm going to kneel down with this, man, if we could. I'm going to kneel down right now. I'm going to get down Superfly Jimmy Snuka style. That's what we're going to do. Now, you were a 2005 inductee, but you were a standout amateur wrestler at Syracuse University. Talk a little bit about that.
I don't know whether I was a standout. You know what? I was sitting playing cards in the card room of the Phi Gamma Delta fraternity house, and my fraternity father came home from wrestling practice. He was the captain of the wrestling team, and this was late in my sophomore year, and he says, "Guess who the new heavyweight is?" And I said, "Bill Sky." He says, "No, Bill blew his knee out this afternoon, and the new heavyweight is you." And they moved the furniture back in the fraternity house, and they proceeded. There were 6 varsity wrestlers in the fraternity house, 6 varsity football players, 6 varsity wrestlers. So you might say we had quite kind of a athletic house. But they pushed the furniture back and taught me a referee's position from an up and down wrestler. Anyway, from there on, I had 2 meets my sophomore year, and I won 1 and lost 1 and went to the Easterns. Then my junior year, I did fairly well. I was undefeated until I wrestled the national champion. And I went to the finals in the Easterns my senior year, and then I went to the finals of the national AAUs when I was in graduate school. So that's the limitation of my amateur career, the fact that I had such a great coach. Joe McDaniels was a national champion from Oklahoma, and he's about as tall as you are now.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, he was 120 pounds. You know, and he was a great coach, a great motivator. He would say, "Count 3 and take him down." I said, "I don't know how to get to 3."
Now, Destroyer, another quick question for you. We understand that you were in the ring in your career with the one and only, the famous Gorgeous George. And talk about the times in the ring with him, and he's considered one of the very first big-time flamboyant performers of this great business.
I first wrestled Gorgeous George in Birmingham, Alabama in 1958 as Dick Beyer. And then in 1963, and he was probably the biggest money maker in wrestling and probably one of the number 1 TV personalities. There was Gorgeous George and Milton Berle. They were synonymous with who was the most popular. Anyway, Gorgeous George used to drink a lot. He started to deteriorate in his wrestling ability. And 1963, I went by he had a restaurant bar in Los Angeles, and he says, "Dick, I want to wrestle you mask against my hair." I says, "Well," and I says, "Well, you're going to look bald after it's over with." He says, "I need the money." So anyway, we had a match, and I won, and they shaved his head. And the promoter from San Diego, he saw the match, and it was a good match. Gorgeous George was a great performer, and they booked the match down in San Diego. you had the bald, gorgeous George against the Destroyer, and that was his last match, and I think he died of cirrhosis of the liver maybe 3 or 4 months later. So that's the nutshell. But he was a great performer. Much in 58 as Dick Beyer in Birmingham, Alabama, when I wrestled him first. He was a much better competitor then, much better condition. When I wrestled him in 63, he had been running his business, hadn't been on the road much. But I get a lot of comment around the wrestling circuit and people like yourself that would like to know about the match.
Fantastic. Dick the Destroyer Beyer, we appreciate your time here at the Hall of Fame. I got one more thing to ask. How do you think I would look with that mask on?
Well, let's see. Let's find out.
Well, here we go.
Let's find
Live and in living color, 2008. There you have it. The Hall of Fame,
my God.
2008.
Now he
Dick the
looks
Destroyer
like
Beyer.
Man, oh man.
The Weekend.